Hey guys, it's Mo with Mujok. Another day, time for another video, and excuse me for my long-awaited absence. Here we are once again, rolling out amazing, great videos for all of you to watch, enjoy, and learn. So, today, once again, we have our trusty whiteboard, and, of course, as always, we have 4 vocabularies that we are going to cover. So, without further ado, I'd like to read these out, and let's get it started. So, the first word for today, we have dubious, followed by altercation, and then ambiguous. And then last but not least, we have discordant. So dubious, altercation, ambiguous, and discordant. So let's begin with dubious. All right, so what does dubious mean? Let's begin with a definition. So dubious means suspicious and quite non-believable. So, if I give an example sentence, let's say Mo, he was walking down the street, and he was looking for something to eat because he's always hungry 24/7. And then suddenly he sees this street vendor. And the street vendor is selling these skewered meat sticks. So he's selling these little itty-bitty pieces of meat stuck on a little stick. And so Mo goes over to the street vendor thinking, oh wow, maybe it's some delicious chicken or maybe some beef. But then he takes a closer look at the skewered beef and he sees a little tail. He sees a little finger. He sees a little tongue. And is that an eyeball? So Mo goes up to the street vendor and then asks the man, what exactly are those skewered meat sticks? Or where did you get the meat from for these skewers? And so the street vendor replies, oh, of course, these are gluten-free, whole food, organic, vegan, non-dairy, all-friendly, eco-friendly beef. And one skewer goes for only $2. Isn't that such a great deal? But then Mo, he dubiously looks at the street vendor and says, I don't think so. And then he walks away. So what did you get from that sentence? Mo, he looked at the street vendor with a very suspicious glance, and he knew that the street vendor was not a very honest businessman. So what did he do? He left after giving the person a dubious stare, or a dubious glance, a very non-trusting, suspicious look. That was word number 1. Let's bring back the whiteboard, and word number 2 of today is altercation. All right, so let me bring back the story of Mo and the street vendor. So let's say, once again, Mo was going down the street. He saw the street vendor. He went up to the street vendor, and then he saw that this man was not selling beef. He was selling rats and pigeons. And instead of just walking away this time, Mo suddenly got angry. And then he decided to pick a little fight with this man because Mo believes that he is this very smart, educated individual who knows a lot about nutrition, although it's debatable. So he tells the man, hey, you can't just go around picking rats and killing them and buying pigeons from Chinese people and selling them to make money. That's illegal. You're killing people. But the street vendor says, this is all legal. I'm an honest businessman and I am selling vegan, whole food, eco-friendly beef. So what are you going to do about it? Meh. So Mo gets really, really angry and he starts throwing all the meat skewers into the garbage. And so the street vendor, of course, enraged himself, decides to hit Mo. And after that, a scuffle or a fight ensues. So, what just happened? Mo got into an altercation with this street vendor. So, as you might have guessed, altercation means fight or dispute. So, have you ever been in an altercation? If so, try and think about it. And also, tomorrow, try and tell your friends about your fight or altercation that you had. But remember to try and use altercation in the sentence that you use. So, 2 words down, 2 words left. Beginning with ambiguous. All right, so ambiguous, or ambiguity, Ambiguous means quite unclear, left in the air, a mystery, not really transparent. So, I'll begin with an example where something is not ambiguous. A lot of the time, people who solve math problems or who don't really like math, they say that math is quite ambiguous because the meaning is not very clear, and to them it seems like there's not really an answer. But actually, math is not ambiguous at all. Math is completely the opposite from ambiguous because there's always a set answer. 2 plus 2 is 5. No, I'm joking. 2 plus 2 is 4. 5 plus 5 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4. There's always a set answer, so it is clear. It is not unclear. But what is something that is ambiguous? So, have you ever met a person where you ask a question and they give quite an ambiguous answer? So, where were you this evening? I was walking around. Walking around. Very vague, very ambiguous, an ambiguous answer. He could have been walking around the neighborhood. He could have been walking around space. He could have been walking on the ocean like Jesus. Who knows? There is no set answer. It's quite unclear. That is ambiguous. Number three down. Word number 4, discordant. So discordant means to not be harmonious. So the opposite, the polar opposite of being in harmony. And when is harmony usually utilized? In music. So we all have these certain periods in our lives when we just like to sit back, relax, and listen to some classical music, such as Beethoven, or Bach, or Schubert, all of these great composers. And the great thing about all of these classical music artists is that they are able to harmonize all of the sounds of the violin, the piano, the cello, the flute. All of these instruments are magically synchronized to create a masterpiece. However, what does it mean to be discordant? Discordant, or discordance, would appear when Mo, an unexperienced composer, decides, ooh, I want to write something beautiful today, or I want to compose a piece of art today, and he decides to try to mold a piano piece and a violin piece together into this one huge masterpiece. However, it doesn't work. He has no experience when it comes to music, and the violin, it sounds like a screeching cat, and the piano, it sounds like this old lady that's banging around on the piano. Ding, ding, ding. And it's quite unharmonious. So it's quite discordant. The sound of the violin was quite discordant against that of the piano. They were not able to synchronize or harmonize. It sounded quite horrible. Or discordant can be used also when something breaks the silence. So for example, let's say that Mo was walking down the street and it was very, very peaceful and quiet. But suddenly, this discordant scream of this elephant broke the air. And Mo was suddenly scared and he started running for his life. So the discordant sound of something scared people, or the discordant sound of someone alerted someone. So, these are the 4 words for today. We have dubious, altercation, ambiguous, and discordant. Dad. I hope you please remember these words, review them, try to practice them with your associates, companions, co-workers, friends, allies, brother, sister, parents, and I shall see you all in the next video.